All right, welcome back to the channel. So, seems like the shenanigans continue, and Terence Crawford and Bob Arum are not trying to make fights that fans want to see. Specifically, they turned down the Shawn Porter fight and refused to even make an offer for the fight. That, on top of the fact that miraculously, Shawn Porter was removed from the #1 position in the WBO for Virgil Ortiz. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, I had been trying, really with Terence Crawford, been trying not to just call it for what it is, and that is just a farce, okay? Terence Crawford ain't real. As far as his what he's doing in the welterweight division, the guy's just not real. He's been there for going on 3 years, has not had a real significant fight where he was in any risk since Victor Postol, and before that, maybe the Yuriorkis Gamboa fight. But he's just coming off as a gigantic duck artist and somebody that is a product of Top Rank, which by and large makes a bunch of hype jobs. And right about now, Terence Crawford is looking like a protected hype job. But let's go through it. Terence Crawford is the WBO champion, right? And he's somebody that people are saying are the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. However, in the welterweight division, just right now, he is refusing to fight Errol Spence Jr. As far as we know and what has been said by Terence Crawford, the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and himself is not happening because he's past it, right? He's already made the Hall of Fame. He has nothing to prove. He's already been an undisputed champion, all of that good stuff. And to that I say, okay, if you don't feel like you have to prove yourself against the other people that are claiming that they're champion, why don't you just retire? Okay, retire or go to a weight class where you're going to fight the people, where you're going to actually fight them. But anyway, so he does that to Errol Spence Jr., right? He also refuses to fight, as far as what I've heard, has refused to fight Keith Thurman, won't fight several other fighters that are there that are reasonable fighters for him to fight. Who is he going to actually fight? He's been running around with this pipe dream about fighting Manny Pacquiao that didn't happen at Top Rank. Any conversation about that fight happening with Manny Pacquiao right now is just a bunch of nonsense. And actually I do believe that they had actually announced the fight through several outlets and said, oh yeah, that this is expected to come Wednesday. Well, let me tell you, that was like 2 or 3 Wednesdays ago. Okay. At least 2 Wednesdays ago, probably 3 Wednesdays ago, because it was before I took a break from taking videos for a week, and at least a week before that, because I was like, all right, Wednesday is come and gone. When are you going to announce this fight? Never announced the fight. Nothing but a hype job announcement just to get people amped up and mentioning Terence Crawford's name in a fight that he's not going to make. And I have to assume to get the people's attention off of the fact that he's not fighting Errol Spence Jr. or anybody else, right? So now he's saying that, or according to Shawn Porter's father and trainer, Kenny Porter, they met with Bob Arum and said, hey, Bob, we want to make this fight. And Bob's answer was, we're not making an offer to you. Sorry, we're not making an offer today. We're not making an offer today. And since they had that conversation, according to Kenny Porter, they've not heard from Bob Arum since. So, I think it's safe to say that they're not trying to make that fight, right? So now you have him not fighting Shawn Porter. Those are all of the top fighters in that division, with the exception of the up-and-coming fighters. Now, ironically enough, though, when Oscar De La Hoya and Robert Garcia start talking about a fight with Terence Crawford, strangely, the WBC ranking shifts Virgil Ortiz ahead of Shawn Porter. By what logic? He doesn't scrape by. He beats Maurice Hooker. Maurice Hooker, who was a guy that got knocked out for a championship fight the weight class before. And somehow the WBO, who is also affectionately known as whatever Bob orders, finds a way to move Shawn Porter out of the number 1 position and put Virgil Ortiz there. Similar things have happened to the past, like fighters, say Austin Trout, who was ranked number 1 in the WBO. And when Liam Smith when they wanted to make the Liam Smith versus Canelo Alvarez fight, strangely, Liam Smith pops into the rankings and Austin Trout just completely pops out of the rankings, right? So it's all of this. It's just fraudulent, okay? The WBO's moves and their ranking systems, from everything that I can see, it's just flat out fraudulent, and they're going to move people around in those weight divisions, in those positions, in those sanctioning bodies, any way that they see fit in order to make the fights that the promoters want to fight. But, with all the promotional stuff aside and what Terence Crawford looks like for this move, I mean, look, man, you can't call yourself, I'm not going to accept the fact that this guy's a number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world by fighting guys like Amir Khan and Igis Kalvanakis and Jose Benavidez and Jeff Horn. No, or a Julius Ndungo or a Victor Postol. Not when you're in a weight class that has guys like Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter, your Danis Ugas, guys like that. You have more guys. There are more good fighters in the division right now for Terence Crawford to fight than there were in the divisions, and then both divisions that he fought in combined before that. The best lightweight when he was at lightweight probably was either Ray Beltran or Ricky Burns, one or the other, right? Because Adrian Bronner left, and at 140, the best guy there was probably Victor Postol. Why? Because Terence Crawford didn't move up there until Danny Garcia stopped fighting there. And also, he's not trying to fight Danny Garcia either. So it's just, now I'm sorry, man. I just can't give him to him. Not when I'm sitting there watching Errol Spence Jr. fight all of the guys that Terence Crawford refuses to fight. And again, I have not seen Terence Crawford in a competitive fight in the last 5 years. And I think that the Yuriokis Gamboa fight, if you consider that competitive, was like 6 years ago. So no, man, it's just can't do it. And especially when you're just out there refusing to even negotiate with Shawn Porter. But let's move the question forward, or move the conversation forward, and ask, why not Shawn Porter? Well, that is obviously because Shawn Porter has the ability to has the tools and the things necessary to beat Errol Spence Jr. He has he's a very aggressive fighter, and he can fight aggressively, and he can fight defensively. If Shawn Porter wants to keep you from hitting him or being aggressive with him, he has all of the footwork that he needs to get away if he needs to, right? If he gets dazed, any of that. However, he also, when he gets in close, has a very awkward mugging style and will definitely be connecting on Terence Crawford. He also has the footwork, right? Now, just the getting in and out, getting off the ropes, even if Terence Crawford were to force him on the ropes. Because Terence Crawford is boxing from the outside looking to pot shot. And if he doesn't, I mean, that's his chance. Pot shot, hurt Shawn Porter, and then go out for the knockout. I don't see it. And especially because of the next thing, which is the level of competition that you have between the two. Shawn Porter just has a lot more championship experience than Terence Crawford does. He's been in a lot more high-level fights, from Kell Brook to Danny Garcia to Shawn Porter to Errol Spence. All of these guys that Shawn Porter has fought and give competitive fights to are better than anybody that Terence Crawford has fought. But that's my take on the matter. And seriously, man, Terence just coming off like a hype job at this point. And it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.